For 3 years he fought on the battlefield, while I spent 3 years in the Buddhist temple. He battled for the nation, while I prayed for his safety. After 3 years, victory came at the great battle. He brought back a woman, calling her my lady. He showered her with care, while treating me like a venomous snake. He forgot I am the beloved princess, cherished by my father the emperor and mother the empress. He is unworthy of me. On the day Lu Xing returned from the frontier, the capital of Great Wei was packed to the brim, its citizens eager to glimpse whether the general of the West truly lived up to his legendary valor. From the city walls, my father, my brother, and I watched the vast army marching in the distance. Ning with Lu Xing's return. It's time to discuss your marriage. Your 3 years in the monastery have not been in vain. I smiled. Everything is as father sees fit. The emperor personally welcomed him, accompanied by the princess and crown prince in honor no subject dared dream of receiving. Lu Xing, clad in crimson armor, bowed in salute before addressing my father directly. Your Majesty, I fought for the nation this campaign with no other desire than to seek your permission to marry. Grant me the honor of uniting with my beloved. My heart leapt with joy. But then he drew a woman from behind him. Schwanger saved my life multiple times at the frontier. I have no way to repay her except by granting her the position of principal wife, to be with her for the rest of my life. My heart twisted in agony. My fingers clenched tightly at my skirt hem. Noticing my distress, my imperial brother cleared his throat. Lu Xing, do not forget. I cut off my brother's attempt to speak for me, merely smiling radiantly at him. Since the general has requested this favor before all the civil and military officials and the citizens of the capital, Father, please grant it. Father nodded, signaling that the reward would be bestowed upon our return to the palace. My brother and I settled back into the palanquin. He gazed into my eyes. I told you Lu Xing was heartless. Gazing outside the palanquin, I saw him riding a white horse, his arms around that girl in red. My heart ached terribly, yet my expression remained calm. Brother, a bet lost is a bet lost. I accept defeat gracefully. Since he found true love while fighting at the frontier, he was never destined to be my husband. Wei Ning, my brother tickled my nose. You're such a stubborn one. Back in the palace, I ordered my maidservants to gather every gift Lu Xing had ever given me, bundles large and small, and carry them all to the Chongyang Hall. The womenfolk whispered among themselves, and the ministers murmured in speculation. I placed the 2 boxes before Lu Xing. I smiled and said, General Lu, now that you've found your beloved, the gifts you gave this princess in your youthful ignorance should naturally be returned to you. One by one, Lu Xing's face turned ashen, and the woman beside him looked utterly flustered. Since they belong to the past, Your Highness might as well burn them all. It would save this humble subject the trouble of carrying them back to my residence. I laughed aloud. Very well. Let us burn them then. Consider it adding to the festivities for the general and his future wife. Outside the Chongyang Hall, eunuchs were busily setting fire to the 2 boxes. I watched Lu Xing's expression darken further. But this wasn't the end. I slipped the jade bracelet his mother had once given me from my wrist, then walked to the girl and placed it on her arm. This bracelet was given to me by Lady Lu years ago. She said it belonged to the future matriarch of the Lu household. It would be more fitting for Lady Lu to wear it. The emperor cleared his throat. Since the general wishes to bestow this marriage, how can I grant it when I know not her name? I returned to my seat, watching Lu Xing embrace the girl. His gaze softened as he looked at her. She was an orphan, nameless and without status. I have named her Wushuang. My nails dug into my palms until they stung. Wushuang, Wushuang, unparalleled in the world. Lu Xing truly had a heart of stone. He had once sworn before the Empress Dowager that he would protect me for a lifetime, that we would be 2 souls bound for eternity. Now he had forgotten it all, yet dared to name her Wushuang. I forced a smile as I watched Father Emperor order the drafting of the imperial edict. After the palace banquet dispersed, A drizzling rain extinguished the embers of the blaze. The vast wooden crate was reduced to mere charred remains. The fire had consumed everything cleanly. Wu Shuang stood behind me, her eyes crinkling with a confident smile. She waved her wrist at me. "Thank you, Your Highness, for returning the Lu family's belongings to me." I shrugged, unwilling to engage, but she smiled. "I hear Your Highness spent 3 years in a Buddhist temple praying for Lu Xing's safety and fortune. Yet within half a year of his deployment to the frontier, he was constantly by my side. If you knew this, would you still remain in the temple?" Seeing her dare to snarl at me, I couldn't help but snort derisively. "I am the Princess of Great Wei. Praying for the nation's welfare is my duty. As for you, clinging to a man in such a murky manner, no wonder you have no parents. After all, no one taught you better." She suddenly began to sob, and then I saw Lu Xing standing behind her. Humph. Daring to scheme against me, Lu Xing hurriedly pulled her into his arms, his brow furrowed, his expression cold and grim. "Your Highness, my wife did not provoke you. It seems you are merely flaunting your status and acting arrogant because of your favor." I smiled sweetly at him, then stepped forward and slapped him across the face. "So this is the might of the general of the West. If I honor and respect you, you're a general. If I'm in a bad mood and refuse to honor or respect you, you're nothing but a royal lapdog. Keep your woman in line. If she provokes me again, I can't guarantee I won't send her back to the bandit lair on the frontier to be a chieftain's wife." Lu Xing. You truly are beyond reason." I shrugged. "Lu Xing, I've always been this way." Watching him walk away with Wu Shuang in his arms, my heart felt sour and weak. My imperial brother invited me to the Eastern Palace for a drink, and I didn't refuse. The Crown Princess, my sister-in-law, gently urged me. "Ning Lu Xing is no good man. You must plan for your future. If you're hurting, let it all out." I raised my cup and smiled. We grew up together. What I thought was mutual understanding was nothing but a hollow illusion. From now on, I won't give him another glance. On the way back to my palace, my brother paused. "Ning if you truly dislike him, I will seek justice for you." I shook my head. "I know your affection, brother." Wei Ning never bows her head. "Nor will I make you bow yours for me." I staggered back to Wanning Hall. Sleep came in a haze. My dream was of childhood days, when Father Emperor spoiled me beyond measure. Children from noble families dared not approach me. Only little Lu Xing held my hand, teaching me to write and play the zither. At 15, he held me close in his arms while riding horses in the capital's outskirts. Back then, everyone believed Lu Xing would become my imperial consort. He even asked me to wait for his return before departing for war. 3 years passed. Wei Ning was no longer the mischievous Princess Ningguang, and Lu Xing was no longer the man whose heart and eyes were filled only with Wei Ning. I felt like a joke. On Lu Xing's wedding day, it was said he deliberately added lavish, visible dowry items for Wu Shuang. The emperor, wishing to elevate her status, also bestowed numerous treasures. For a time, even without parents or noble birth, she became the talk of the capital. My mother and sister-in-law, the crown princess, sought a husband for me. Coincidentally, the Prince of Daliang arrived in the capital. Out of nowhere, rumors spread that I was to marry the Crown Prince of Daliang. After court, Lu Xing made his way through the palace corridors to my quarters. He told me bluntly, "The Daliang prince is a debauched man. He is no suitable match." I ignored him completely, brushing past him to pay my respects to my mother. He grabbed my arm, forcing me to meet his gaze. Does the princess not understand this official's words? I brushed his hand away, flicked some dust off my sleeve, and smiled. What business is it of yours? Lu Xing frowned. You are born of royal blood, a precious jewel. Why subject yourself to a political marriage? His handsome face darkened, as if he were struggling to suppress his anger. Hooking my fingers around his sash, I gazed into his eyes with feigned tenderness. What? Could it be that the general still harbors ambitions to be my lover? Since you've forgotten our past, I shall not dwell on it either, for I feel. I gently released his sash, leaving him utterly bewildered. Feel what? I smiled, adjusted his official cap for him, then declared, I find it filthy. I turned and walked away. Nanny-san murmured from the side, why treat the general so harshly, princess? If you were willing, the position of general's wife might. I scoffed coldly. Wei Ning, never look back. I've never coveted the position of matriarch of the Liu household. The matron turned back and whispered again, Princess. The general has been watching your retreating figure. I shrugged. Deep affection has never lasted since ancient times. I was merely foolish in my youth. Since he has taken a wife, I care not for the reasons behind it. This single matter leaves no room for reconciliation between us. After paying respects at my mother's palace, Li Wuyo, the daughter of the Minister of Rights who was friendly with me, came to seek me out in my palace. She first paid her respects according to etiquette, then shared the latest gossip from the capital. After dismissing her maidservant, she whispered, Did you hear? Both the 3rd Prince and 7th Prince of Great Liang are coming to Great Wei. Both are potential successors to the Liang throne. The gambling houses in the capital are offering hefty sums on which Princess Ningguang will marry. I smiled faintly. If I knew the outcome, I'd bet heavily myself and make a tidy profit. She hesitated before asking, Then, what about Lu Xing? I paused. He's a stranger now. Why bring him up? 3 days later, the Liang envoys arrived in the capital. I never expected to encounter an old acquaintance. Only now. He was no longer the young novice monk from the temple, but had transformed into the 7th Prince of Liang. We exchanged a knowing glance, neither mentioning our temple days. In the Chongyang Hall, father and mother sat enthroned. My elder brother and I occupied seats on either side. Many ministers had brought their relatives today after all, with 2 Liang princes present. If their unmarried daughters caught a prince's eye, it would bring great honor to their families. After a few cups of wine, I stepped outside for fresh air. Following the downpour, water dripped from the eaves. The surroundings were quiet, broken only by a familiar male voice. Princess. It's been a while. I turned to see a handsome youth with a jade-like complexion, his jet-black hair combed high into a crown. I never realized that Master Puxuan from back then was actually the 7th Prince of Liang. He smiled. In those days, Princess, you lived among ancient lamps and Buddha statues. Your temperament as still as water. Now you've gained a touch of charm. Yet I hear that what you sought from the Buddha was not granted, and your beloved was truly indifferent. I remained silent. He murmured softly, Perhaps your highness might consider me instead. Lu Xing watched us from a distance, his gaze cold as he approached. Your highness, it would be best to return to the palace with this humble servant. Should others see us, who knows what gossip might arise. Liang Yin stepped in front of me. You're merely an outsider. Who do you think you're talking down to? Lu Xing remained silent. He only stared intently at me. Moments later, Wu Shuang came out looking for him. Husband. It's cold and rainy outside. Let's go inside. He draped his cloak over Wu Shuang and no longer lingered his gaze on me. Liang Yin sneered. He's eating from the bowl yet still coveting your golden cauldron. Wei Ning. If I were him, I'd never betray you in this lifetime. I froze, then hurried back to the hall, unable to resist rebuking him. Master Puxuan used to eat vegetarian meals and chant sutras daily. Now he takes advantage of the night to spout such unrestrained, licentious nonsense. If the Buddha knew, he would surely punish you. His voice grew solemn. Wei Ning. I know Lu Xing's triumphant return stirs turmoil within him. If he were to marry you, it would be my lifelong regret. I exhausted every effort to secure this mission in Great Wei from His Majesty all for you alone. I ignored his words and returned to my seat. Lu Xing's gaze fixed on me. The emperor offered wine to the couple, but unexpectedly, Wuxuang rose. Your servant is with child and truly cannot drink. Lu Xing's gaze fixed on Wuxuang's abdomen as the ministers offered congratulations. Amidst the sea of well-wishers, I severed the last thread of affection I held for Lu Xing. Raising my cup, I offered him a distant toast. After that day, the weather in the Wei capital grew steadily colder. Following the start of winter, the first snow fell. As was her custom each winter, Mother Empress retired to Qingchuan Temple for half a month, and this year was no exception. I accompanied her, along with my sister-in-law, the Crown Princess. Within Qingchuan Temple, rye mice stood like forests, and snow-covered eaves hung heavy. Mother knelt for a long time in the main hall. Incense smoke swirled from the censers, and deep within the purple haze, I thought I glimpsed danger. Several unfamiliar young monks glanced toward the main hall where my mother resided, their movements seeming both deliberate and casual. When they approached the temple entrance brandishing swords, I pushed my sister-in-law and the maidservant into the hall, grasping my 9-section whip. I stood at the doorway. Who exactly are you? They remained silent. A Sharpie guard noticed the markings on the back of their necks. Princess. They are members of the Sorrow tribe. I sneered coldly, daring to target only women and children in defiance of the Great Wei royal house. You are nothing but a band of petty thugs. Today, within this sacred Buddhist sanctuary, I shall teach you a lesson you won't soon forget. The leader of the monks sneered savagely. Then let us see just how capable the princess truly is. Guards and I fought desperately, but outnumbered. We were overwhelmed until Liang Yin arrived with reinforcements. Turning the tide, my forearm was slashed by a sword. Liang Yin frowned. How dare anyone infiltrate the imperial temple? The crown prince's wife, my sister-in-law, was startled and suffered abdominal pain. Only after returning to the palace did we learn she was 2 months pregnant. Father and my elder brother were furious, ordering a thorough investigation. That group of Sorrow tribesmen was eventually captured. They refused to name their mastermind, but I had my own way of making them talk. My brother and I sat upon the high dais, observing them. The Sorrow tribe in western Great Wei was reclaimed by the late Duke of the State, Lu Rong. Recently, it seems our general of the West, Lu Xing, dealt with them again. Yet instead of targeting the Lu family, you fixated on our imperial movements. Your feint was masterfully executed. I wonder what connection Lu Xing's wife has to you. The man's eyes widened, but he remained silent. I did not torture them. Instead, I pointed toward the window and said, "It matters not. The time is not yet ripe. Wait until your divine maiden gives birth. Wait until she bears the Lu family's bloodline. Then I shall have her watch you die with her own eyes." Behind me, they cursed me as venomous as a scorpion. Yet they still asked, "How did you discover this?" I sneered coldly. I am my father's right-hand man, having presided over the Qilin Pavilion for years. Every move of the court ministers is under my watchful eye. That woman Lu Xing brought back. I have my ways to uncover her true nature. Lu Xing may be bewitched, blinded by her snares, but I, Wei Ning, will not be. My elder brother and I emerged from the prisoner holding area. He tucked a stray lock of hair behind my ear. "Ninger, this charade must come to an end," I replied calmly. The Lu family has waged war in the West for years, their roots deep and tangled. I won't rest easy until the imperial seal is in our hands. As for Lu Xing, since he can't resist a bow tie's charms, let him revel in his delusion a few more days. When he rejoices over his new heir. When his dear father storms the imperial city, then we'll catch the turtle in the jar. Wouldn't that be far more entertaining? Liang Yin invited me out daily. The wagers placed at the gambling house some time ago had concluded. The third prince of Great Liang showed little interest in me, but instead took a keen liking to my close friend, Li Wuyo. Liang Yin invited me to admire the plum blossoms. My forearm injury hadn't fully healed, and when dismounting the carriage, he actually carried me down, making my face flush. Amidst the plum blossoms, he stammered. Did you hear about the wagers in the capital? I bet on myself to win. Little did I know my third brother wasn't fond of you. I won a fortune, and no one even contested it. I snorted, spitting tea from my mouth. Turning, I spotted Lu Xing and Wushuang. Wushuang's belly was slightly rounded. Yet Lu Xing, holding her close, remarked, Your Highness is unmarried. Yet here you are embracing a foreign prince. If His Majesty were to learn. I waved him off. Lu Xing. Don't forget your place. He left with Wushuang in his arms. Liang Yun blinked. You're goading him. I took a sip of tea. A faithless man deserves no mercy. A traitor to his country deserves only death. Liang Yun studied me intently. If I were to marry into Great Wei as a son-in-law, it wouldn't be impossible. I spit tea all over his face. On the day Liang Yun returned to Great Liang, the Lu household welcomed a young master. Wushuang had given birth to Lu Xing's heir. On the day Liang Yun and I parted, he quietly took my hand when no one was looking. Trust me. My father and I deliberately have the imperial guards protecting the palace. We waited quietly for that day to come. That day, I was combing my hair in the bedchamber when a maid rushed in, breathless. Princess, Your Highness, the palace walls have fallen. Rebels are here. I donned armor and rushed to the Chongyang Hall to rescue the emperor. Lu Xing and his father, bloodied and enraged, were already in a killing frenzy, shouting demands to purge the court of traitors. When I blocked the doorway, Lu Xing paused. Ning if my father becomes king today, I shall be the future crown prince. My union with Wushuang was always a transaction. I used her tribe to conquer the West, while she used me to secure her tribal position. Ning come to me. If I become crown prince, you shall be my consort. Lu Rong frowned. Wei Ning. Is your father within the palace? The palace grounds are now surrounded by my forces. I advise you to surrender peacefully. I might spare his worthless life. I sneered coldly. Lu Xing. You think you're worthy. At my command. Signal fireworks lit up the sky. The sound of galloping hooves approached from the distance. I looked at Lu Rong and Lu Xing, father and son, riding their horses, and smiled sweetly. Have you ever heard the saying, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind? Liang Yin galloped toward us. Lu Rong was struck dead by an arrow. Lu Xing's eyes burned with hatred as he lunged at me with his sword, only to be knocked back by my 9-section whip. The whip lashed across his face, leaving a bloody mark. He roared, Wei Ning, this is all your trap. Liang Yin shielded me behind him as guards dragged Lu Xing into the dungeon. Overnight, storm clouds gathered. I led Qilin Pavilion's men to arrest every official in Wei capital who answered to the Lu family. A sinister shadow descended upon the entire capital. By dawn's first light, the Lu residence was surrounded. Wushuang emerged clutching their infant, her gaze fixed on me as I stood atop a white steed, clad in armor. A bitter smile touched her lips. Wei Ning, she said. Lu Xing once told me you were peerlessly brilliant, unmatched in the world. I never believed him. Those 3 years in the monastery were merely biding your time, weren't they? I wonder if it was Lu Xing's carelessness or your own indifference. I looked down at her from my lofty position. Lu Xing and I grew up together. I never regretted those years we spent together. But within the imperial family, loyalty to the sovereign comes before familial bonds. The welfare of the empire takes precedence over personal affection. From the day you entered his life, our relationship was doomed. Her eyes widened. You knew all along he had someone else. I saw the exhaustion in her eyes. Knowing full well she had truly fallen for Lu Xing, I watched as she finally uttered the words that crushed her. The biggest difference between us is that I never depend on a man. She slumped to the ground, her sobs breaking free. The Lu estate collapsed. Excavating this cancerous tumor exposed many other clans once deemed pillars of the state. It seemed Wei would remain unsettled for some time. even if the entire Great Way required radical surgery. I would not hesitate. Unless the root of the disease was eradicated, endless troubles would follow. Liang Yin waited for me at the palace gates, dressed in plain robes. He resembled an ordinary young nobleman, a stark contrast to the decisive warrior on horseback from yesterday. As I dismounted, he gazed into my eyes, a smile in his gaze. Ning you've won. I gave a slight nod. I should thank you. Had you not agreed to aid me, things likely wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Even that old fox Lu Rong couldn't have anticipated my alliance with Great Liang. He joked in return. Well, when two foxes meet beneath Qingchuan Temple, they ought to make something of it or make the encounter worthwhile. My sister-in-law gave birth the day after the Liu residence fell. Wei's capital returned to calm. Even the undercurrents of turmoil remained firmly within my grasp. My brother's illness grew worse, even in early summer. He needed to wrap himself in layers of clothing. That day, father summoned me. My brother sat beside him, smiling at me. Ning today is the day you fulfill your promise to your elder brother. Father rose and gazed out the gate of the Hall of Diligent Governance for a long while. Only when a flock of birds flew overhead did he turn back and speak slowly. Ning if I were to place this empire in your hands, could you restore peace and tranquility to all of Great Way? I dared not speak. My brother, though ill, forced himself to rise. Ning you've always harbored grand ambitions. Had your elder brother not been here, you might long ago have been not Princess Ning gone, but the most brilliant crown princess of Great Way. I knelt and pledged. If Father Emperor trusts me, this daughter shall uphold the entire realm of Great Way. That day, under clear skies and gentle breezes, I was proclaimed Crown Princess of Great Way by imperial decree. My brother's children were simultaneously named crown grandchildren. My brother departed the palace with my sister-in-law to wander the seas, seeking healing for his ailments. The Eastern Palace became my domain. A eunuch delivered word that Lu Xing wished to see me one last time before his death. I wore a bright yellow robe and skirt. Arriving at the dungeon, I saw the disbelief on his face. You've become the crown princess. I looked down at him from above, saying nothing, until the eunuch beside me kicked him. Insolent traitor. You dare not pay respects to the crown princess and speak so disrespectfully. He burst into laughter, trembling as he laughed. Wei Ning. My heart and eyes were filled only with you. Why did it end like this? Had I succeeded in purging the court of traitors, I would have been crown prince. What would have been wrong with you becoming my crown princess? If you wished to rule as regent, I would have gladly governed this great realm alongside you. Wei Ning, you never truly cared for me, did you? My tone was flat. Lu Xing, I am deeply grateful for your companionship in my youth, but you refuse to be my consort because a consort holds no power, achieves no supreme military glory, and cannot satisfy your thirst for authority. That is why you colluded with the divine maiden of the Sualua tribe during the Western campaign. I care not to delve into how much genuine affection existed amidst your mutual exploitation, but you bore a child together, did you not? Lu Xing's eyes flickered. He froze. Since when did you know about me? I crouched down to meet his gaze, pinching his stubble-covered chin. My voice grew colder. Naturally. I learned during the 6 months I spent praying for you at the Buddhist temple. Why didn't you confront me then? Why did you never question me? Lu Xing, in your eyes, I've always been that innocent little princess whose only wish was to wait for your victorious return so I could marry you. Right. If you truly believed that, you'd be underestimating me. I am Princess Ning Gone, the sole heiress of Great Way. The blood of the imperial family runs through my veins. The responsibilities I bear are far greater than you could ever imagine. Lu Xing crouched in the corner, staring at me as if I were some kind of monster. Finally, he whispered, "Did you ever love me?" I sighed. Lu Xing, back when I volunteered to pray for your safety at the temple, I truly did love you. Every moment. I hoped for your safe return. Alas, The Qilin Pavilion in my hands held the secrets of many high ministers. As its keeper, I had no choice but to plant my own men within the Western Expeditionary Army. Lu Xing, from the very day you and your peerless one conspired together, we were doomed. To speak of love no isn't that laughable. I stepped out of the dungeon, gasping for fresh air. Lu Xing still screamed like a madman. Ning I truly loved you. Ning my attendant whispered. Your Highness. His outbursts may tarnish your reputation. Leave him a whole corpse. Grant him poisoned wine. Lu Xing died. The court was now free of treacherous ministers. Perhaps more would come in the future. But I did not fear them. Everything would remain within my grasp. In just a few months, the world had changed beyond recognition. Father intended for me to serve as regent. He spent his days tending flowers and plants in the inner palace with Mother, amusing my little nephew. Liang Yun and I had not seen each other since the day I was crowned crown princess. I only heard he had returned to Great Liang. Thinking of him sometimes brought a pang of sorrow, always recalling how he had galloped to my aid that day. The husband of the crown princess could never be a prince from another realm with hopes of inheriting the throne. I set aside girlish thoughts and buried myself in state affairs day after day. Until that day, a familiar voice rang out. Your Highness, the Imperial Princess. How have you been? Gazing at the figure outside the hall, my eyes unexpectedly welled up. Only after dismissing the maids and eunuchs did I dare ask, why have you come? Liang Yun smiled. I am no longer the 7th Prince of Daliang. I voluntarily withdrew from the imperial family. My name is even erased from the imperial genealogy. I am no longer Liang Yun, I am merely Liang Puxuan. My eyes stung with tears. You. He smiled, opening his arms to me. Ning Ning. I never cared for the throne. Had it not been to earn a status worthy of you, I would never have returned to Liang. When I first felt love beneath the Buddha's seat, I was punished by losing my name and royal identity. I am no longer Liang Yun. Let me be only Liang Puxuan years alone, with no lingering worries. I threw myself into his embrace. News of the imperial princess' marriage spread through every street and alley of Wei capital. Upon hearing it, my imperial brother hurried back to the palace with my sister-in-law. My aged father, the Emperor of Liang, sighed at having such a love-stricken son. Though the imperial house had stripped him of his name, his affection remained. He ordered cart after cart of rare treasures sent as my dowry. My mother and sister-in-law prepared my wedding. The fiery red bridal gown was embroidered with dragon patterns. Sitting in the bridal chamber, I felt somewhat at a loss. The matron cautiously instructed me on the duties of a wife, making me blush deeply. She chuckled. It's been ages since I've seen your highness like this. The capital speaks of your decisive actions and thunderous authority. Yet you remain a young girl at heart. I smiled faintly and dismissed the matron. Suddenly, memories flooded Bakdo Qingchuan Temple, clutching the secret report delivered by Qilin Pavilion. I trembled, tears streaming down my face. Alone in the temple pavilion, I wept quietly. Amidst the rustling autumn wind, a pleasant male voice offered comfort. Your Highness, only with a calm heart can one think clearly. Do not cry. Buddha guides true destiny. What you seek may not be predestined for you, but that too is a blessing. From that day on, I followed Puxuan, copying countless sutras. Each morning, I rose with him to chant prayers and offer blessings. He knew I controlled the Qilin Pavilion and had seen the furious letters I wrote to Lu Xing. One after another, holding a blue lamp, his gaze softened. Your Highness, do you understand the principle of meeting change with constancy? Remain as you were before. Others will see only the tranquil lake surface, unaware of the currents churning beneath. What you must become now is the master of those whirlpools beneath the waves. Before him, I burned the unsent letters. He smiled. Your Highness, you need only bide your time. True kings hide dragons and tigers within. They are never impatient leopards. Courage without strategy is the greatest weakness. Until one winter night, Qi vanished, leaving only a note. Your Highness, do not grieve. If I have returned to secular life, it is for matters of utmost urgency. We shall meet again. When I saw him again, Qi was Liang Yun, the seventh prince of Great Liang. On the day we reunited, outside the Chongyang Hall, the moment Lu Xun confronted me, he stepped before me and slipped a note from behind. It read, "Should you rise in rebellion, I shall lend my full support." It was not until late into the night that I finally drifted into a deep sleep. The moonlit night was filled with profound peace. My heart softened. My brows relaxed, that it had been so long since I felt such true ease. On the day of my wedding to Liang Yun, the entire capital of Wei was adorned in crimson as we rode splendid steeds from the city gates to the palace. At the palace gates, I held his hand as we walked across the crimson carpet. His grip was firm, his eyes crinkled with laughter. After paying homage to heaven and earth, and bowing to our ancestors and parents, we were formally wed. A banquet was held within the palace. In the Chongyang Hall, cups clinked and toasts were made. Finally, it was nothing but our wedding feast. We listened to the minister's congratulations and watched the officials offer distant blessings, until we returned to the Eastern Palace. His eyes were deep as he held my hand, refusing to let go. The matron had specially ordered a fragrant incense for the goose-down canopy, its sweet scent wafting into our nostrils. He sat by the bedside, lifted the quilt, and saw the bed covered with red dates and longans. He teased me. "Ning Ning, what does this mean?" I replied. "You know exactly what it means." He embraced me as the gauze curtains fell, leaving only the room filled with sensuality. He held me tightly around the waist, his voice rough. "Ning Ning, you have no idea how happy this makes me." My voice cracked. When did you first set your sights on me?" He tickled my nose. That day, the sun was perfect. A woman stepped out of a sedan chair, radiating noble grace. Back then, I thought to myself, I must latch onto her coattails, bask in her glory and wealth. I stared intently into his eyes before he stammered. "I came to Qingchuan Temple precisely to escape the struggle for the throne, retreating to this temple in great Wei. Yet I never imagined I'd lose my resolve to worldly desires and yearn to return and fight for it. If I were to seize the crown prince's position, I'd have greater standing before you, not as a mere novice monk. But my little girl, your ambitions are so grand. I don't want the throne of Great Liang anymore. I only want you." I held him tightly. "Puxuan, I'm so glad it's you in the end." He embraced me, resting his chin on top of my head. His smile held warmth as his hand gently stroked my hair. I suddenly looked up at him, and his eyes held a look of unfulfilled desire. I grinned mischievously. "You know, back in the gambling houses of Wei capital, I placed a hefty wager on you against the third prince. Now that I have you and made a fortune, I suppose I'm not at a loss." He froze. When did you begin to care for me?" I hooked my arm around his neck and pressed my lips to his. "Beneath Qingchuan Temple. It wasn't just you who stirred my heart. The 3rd year after my marriage to Liang Yun, I gave birth to our twins. Our son was named Wei Liang. Our daughter was named Liang Wei." I teased Liang Yun for his casual approach to naming. Yet I went along with his choice. Father Emperor grew even more distracted from court affairs. His heart and eyes filled only with my brother's children and mine. He abdicated the throne to me early, then took the Empress Dowager and the children on a journey to tour the famous mountains and rivers. The old emperor of Great Liang followed my father's example, abdicating early in favor of the third prince. My dear friendly Wuyo transformed overnight into the Empress of Liang. Amidst these intertwined relationships, the bonds between Wei and Liang grew ever closer, and both nations flourished in prosperity. Father's letter mentioned that upon hearing of Liang Yun's dragon and phoenix twins, the old emperor of Liang had long been burning with envy to see them. Yet upon his arrival, he dared to demand the children be returned to Liang. I smiled helplessly. Liang Yun, however, proved utterly spineless. He merely chuckled. Let him take them back. Even in Liang, their uncle is the new emperor, and their aunt is my mother's dearest friend. How could they possibly be mistreated? Having someone watch our children is a blessing. Besides, I'd love for Her Majesty the Empress to bear us more offspring. Liang Puxuan, you shameless man. I recall someone once saying they loved me precisely for this shamelessness. The rest of the argument was swallowed back as I resignedly hooked my arm around his neck, afraid I might slide off the table. Liang Yun. Side story: when I first saw her, she was a little princess devotedly praying beneath the Buddha's statue. She never missed her morning and evening prayers, her handwriting elegant as she spent her days copying the Heart Sutra in the meditation hall. Until that day, when I overheard her wish. May Lu Xing return safely. She seemed like an innocent girl praying for her lover's safety, but her next words sent a chill through me. Her tone remained calm. If he harbors treasonous thoughts, I pray the Buddha protect the Great Way. I will end his life with my own hands. I myself was a prince who fled the strife of Great Liang, no stranger to deceit and intrigue. Yet seeing the famed Qilin pavilion in her small hands stirred my curiosity. On a chilly autumn night, as I swept fallen leaves in the temple courtyard, I heard someone weeping and couldn't help but approach. That was the first time I felt compassion for a woman. I spoke to her at length, something I rarely did. Your Highness, do you understand the principle of adapting to change through constancy? You need only remain as you were before. Others will see only the calm surface of the lake, unaware of the turbulent currents beneath. What you must do now is become the master of those whirlpools beneath the surface. Your Highness, bide your time. True kings lie low like dragons and tigers. Rash leopards are not. Courage without strategy is the greatest weakness. I watched her orchestrate plans, endure trials, and wield the Qilin pavilion with consummate skill. Were she a man, perhaps the entire Wei dynasty would fall into her hands. My feelings toward her gradually shifted until I overheard her closest friend speak of Lu Xing. Jealousy stirred within me. Envoys from Liang came seeking my return. My father even summoned me back to the Liang court in the name of my disease. Mother, kneeling before the myriad gods and Buddhas, clad in simple monk's robes, I confessed for the first time, watching the divine figures in the knight's embrace. I spoke slowly. This disciple seeks to return to secular life. I had intended to live among ancient Buddhas and dim lamps, no longer meddling in worldly affairs. Yet I broke my vows. I fell for a maiden, and she, of all people, holds a lofty status. Here, I repent. Only with a status equal to hers could I stand by her side again. Filled with love, I left a note and departed Qingchuan Temple. In Daliang, I recruited troops and meddled in court affairs. She waited quietly in the ancient temple for the right moment. Finally, Lu Xing returned victorious. I knew the time had come. Emerging from the turbulent currents of fate, I came solely to lend her my strength. For countless days and nights, I wrote upon my desk. When the stream runs dry, sit and watch the clouds rise. In the capital of Wei, I watched her delicate hands move with effortless grace. Her cunning wit provoke Lu Xing, and her deliberate steps lead her to the outcome she desired. Countless times I wanted to tell her, Ning Ning, fear not, trust me. On the day she received the imperial decree, crowned as imperial princess, she stood atop the city tower. From a tea house nearby, I watched her accept the people's homage. It was time for me to depart. To Daliang, to shed this imperial identity, to become Liang Puxuan, belonging only to her. Perhaps forsaking my name and royal status was Buddha's punishment, a sweetness I would gladly swallow. Ning Ning, I will always protect you. Wei Ning. Side story: father had only 2 children, me brother and me. He loved mother deeply in his youth, vowing lifelong fidelity to her, a promise he never broke. In my youth, I grew up alongside Lu Xing, the son of the Duke of Jingua. We were childhood sweethearts, innocent and carefree. I once dreamed of marrying him one day, living in harmony like my parents. When I turned 15, he led his troops into battle, becoming the great general of the West for the Great Way. Before his departure, he told me to wait for his return. I packed my belongings and went to the Clear Spring Temple to pray for the nation and for him. Half a year later, a letter arrived at my Qilin pavilion. It revealed that Lu Rong and his son Lu Xing were plotting rebellion, even conspiring with the Divine Maiden of the Sualua tribe. The letter stated that the Divine Maiden spent every night with Lu Xing, behaving as if they were a married couple. Enraged, I drafted several letters to denounce him, but Puxuan intercepted them. He insisted patience was the wiser course. Wei must become the hidden current stirring beneath the calm lake's surface. I suppressed my fury and resumed my role as Princess Ningguang, wholly devoted to praying for her beloved. No one knew I had secretly begun plotting with my imperial brother, waiting only for Lu Xing's return to force him to reveal his true colors. Day after day, I followed Pu Xian in chanting sutras. He was strikingly handsome, with sword-like brows and starry eyes, clearly no ordinary man. I couldn't help but steal glances at him daily. But later, he departed without a word, leaving only a note. He said, "We shall meet again." 2 years later, we met again in the capital of Wei. He had transformed into the 7th Prince of Liang, no longer the jade-faced young master. He said to me, "Your Highness, I trust you have been well." My heart raced. I recalled the rumors in the capital that Princess Ningguang would marry a prince of Liang and felt my face flush. I forced myself to remain composed as I spoke with him. Lu Xing witnessed this. He stepped in front of me, his other hand slipping a note into mine. "Should you rise in rebellion, I shall lend my full support." He truly aided me greatly. I'll never forget how he galloped to my side that day when the Lu family was besieged. I found myself thinking that marrying him might be a blessing after all. Yet I always carried a secret. The night Puxuan left Qingchuan Temple, I held that note in my hand and made a vow before the Buddha. May Puxuan and I meet again someday. He slept beside me, our 2 children nestled in their cradle. I knew this secret must never reach his ears, otherwise his tail would be wagging to the heavens. Lu Xing. Side story: on the night Wei Ning bestowed the poison wine, the guard specifically ordered me to bathe and change my clothes. One should depart with dignity when death approaches. A lavish meal was served, along with a jug of wine laced with poison. The chief eunuch by Wei Ning's side looked at me. "General Lu, this old servant has seen the coldness and warmth of this palace. The imperial princess is showing you mercy by granting you a proper burial. You should make your journey swiftly." Suddenly, I remembered that delicate little girl I once held by the hand. Step by step, she had ascended to the position of imperial princess. Now she held the power over my life and death. Staring at the old eunuch, I couldn't help asking, "Wei Ning, will she be with Liang Yun?" The eunuch merely smiled. "Her Highness the imperial princess marriage. This old servant dares not speak of such matters." I drank the poisoned wine. Agonizing pain tore through my organs. Images flashed through my mind like a kaleidoscope, each one connected to Wei Ning. I had once sought to overthrow this realm, become crown prince, and make her my consort. It would fulfill my ambitions while allowing us to be together. When I knelt before father, begging him to petition the emperor for our marriage, he sneered coldly. "Become a prince consort, and you shall hold no power. You cannot command the army, cannot be a minister of state. Do you truly expect me to plead for you?" I knelt through the entire night, finally yielding the next day. I begged my father that when he ascended the throne, as crown prince, I might marry Wei Ning as my consort. He agreed. How laughable I was. Wei Ning, heaven's favored daughter, how could she ever submit to another? I deserved this fate. A fleeting, illusory dream. I betrayed her, and I betrayed myself. The end.